Good evening, all, and welcome to our 700th YouTube show. I am joined by our wonderful co-host, that way, Andrea Evans, and we are back for another instalment of the show. Tonight, we are going to intrigue and inspire you all with something. Even I'm going to be learning something tonight. Is how to overcome trauma by using the Boktor Method in 10 hours. Now, obviously, I know I put in the description 10 minutes, but obviously, our guest Karim actually pulled me on that one, which good. Because how can anything be done in 10 minutes? It just can't. So 10 hours. So firstly, before we bring our guests on, I'm going to let Andrea share our little poem. So I'm going to remove myself.
I don't have a poem.
Oh, do you not?
No, I thought I was doing it on the 17th. Sorry.
Oh, next week. Next week. All right, there you go then. There you go. She's doing it next week. So
Yes.
then, obviously, what we'll do is inspire you all to please share this, subscribe, because we are literally on 698 subscribers. So we're aiming for that 700 mark. This is our 700th YouTube show. So please share the shit out of this. And we will see you in 30 seconds.
Hi.
Come back. And hi, Andrea. Thanks
Hello,
for
everyone.
making such a drastic entrance.
Hello, everyone. Karim, Nancy, Andrea, Adam. How's everybody doing? Sorry, got a little technical things because
We are fine.
Anyways.
Come on, Andrea. 700 YouTube show tonight.
Oh, that's
700.
That's right. Awesome. See?
I know. Hi, Kate. Welcome. So, yeah, firstly, how are you, Andrea?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here as always. I got my warriors by my side. I got communication. I got understanding. And I'm excited to hear about Karim's method. So awesome. And to have Nancy back.
Hey, sweetie.
Absolutely. Yeah, welcome back, Nancy.
I'm delighted. When I heard it was 10 minutes, I was wondering how that was possible. And I was getting ready to pull a card out of my deck that said bullshit. But now that I know it's 10 hours, I'm a little bit more open-minded.
So what card are you being drawn to then?
Oh, complete and utter intrigue. Like, I am just so, I love 10. I was saying that to Adam. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be exponentially amazing.
Ooh.
So,
Wait, hold on. What card? I missed the whole card thing.
Pulling
tarot
a card.
cards?
No, I didn't pull any cards today. That's a different episode. Unless you want me to. No, stay in your lane. But
We may see cards
just
tonight.
pulling out that belief, that automatic go-to behavior, where I'm like, oh yeah, I doubt that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right,
So.
Absolutely. Yeah, welcome, Karim, and again, thank you for getting up so early, live from Australia, down
Thank you.
under.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. It's been a huge couple of weeks since I've come back from TedX in the US. It's been like a twister. You know, everyone wants to ask me questions, ask me how it all was, what was my experience like. They're more intrigued about the Boktor Method and how it all works. So it's been a really good journey, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and obviously, Nancy, going back to the number 10, we just had a comment from Kate. It's totally relevant to the conversation. It's just, but sorry I'm late. Had my male cat in the vets. He went in at 10 this morning.
Wow.
Wow.
So something's powerful that number 10 today. I don't know. I don't know. What do you mean? Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Who's gonna do the twist tonight? Oh, Robert Brooker's at it again. Love that Canadian guy. So I think what, and not just me, Karen, but I think we're all intrigued today is obviously before we dive into how the Boktor method can be solved to overcome trauma in 10 hours. I almost said minutes then. 10 hours. Introduce who you are and like how you became a successful TEDx speaker, even though that's one of my dreams now is to become one.
So, how much time do you have?
An hour.
I'll start with my journey as a child because I think realizing and going back and having my understanding is that it all started. I mean, it starts for everyone as a child, and this is how I work as well. So my parents had to escape persecution in Egypt because there were men on the streets calling out Dad's name or the people who they were going to kill. So if you've ever seen, The Simpsons, Sideshow Bob was going out and calling out names of people who he wasn't going to kill, and one of them was Bart, right?
Right.
But this wasn't a movie. This was actually real. That there were men calling out names of people who they going to kill, and one of them was my dad. He had a really successful business in Egypt, and he just said, "Right, I'm packing up all our bags, and we're going to Australia." So he left Egypt. He left without any of his money, any of the language, and no job to go to. So we quickly found ourselves in a place where we didn't have a home. So we were homeless. We're living at other people's place. It was quite stressful for my family. And what it meant for me specifically was that 3 years later, I was the only Egyptian in the class. And I was overweight. I was a fat kid. And not only that, but I had a severe stutter. So I couldn't speak. And the teachers thought that I just couldn't speak English. And they just gave up on me. They put me into another room. They isolated me away from my peers because they just didn't know what to do. And that caused a lot of resentment and self-confidence issues within me. I didn't have friends, so I would constantly want to beg kids to be my friend. And the reason why I'm telling you the story is because from that moment, it stuck with me for the rest of my life is I couldn't express myself. I couldn't tell people how I felt or what I wanted. I always felt that I was never good enough. And this stuck with me for the rest of my life until I was aware of it and I was conscious. And it wasn't until I had my first son, or I had my first child, which was my son, that I thought I need to do something about me. Because the problem is that it started to come up into my life. I couldn't be a present husband. I couldn't be a present father. I couldn't run my business. And I thought that it was problems outside of me. I thought it was the government's fault. I thought it was the people, the other person's fault for talking to me that way. I never really had responsibility for what the actions that I did and why I was doing it. And then it was like a light bulb moment. And I remember this because I remember going on a journey. I remember someone telling me that, hey, you're still overweight, you've got anxiety, you've got depression, you've got all these things. This isn't a new thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said that, how long have you had this for? This isn't a new issue. Because I would see my pattern of behavior as a single sort of time frame. I would think, oh man, I'm just feeling like crap. But I never really linked my adulthood to my childhood. And so it was like someone turned on the light inside of me and I could finally see the mess in their eyes. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now because it's still a really big moment for me. And it was from that moment that I realized that I had a lot of inner work and discovery to do. So I started to search. The one thing that I'm really good at is looking for things, looking for answers. So I started seeing all these people and started studying and understanding which modality is best for me. And then one of my first things that I did was I did a John DeMartini course called the Breakthrough Experience. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah.
And that moment blew me away. So I remember doing this course and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to learn more. Like I was like a sponge and I just wanted to learn more and more. And then from that journey, I went on to do hypnotherapy. I did NLP. I did timeline therapy. Heaps of other things, right? But I did all these things because I wanted just I wanted to learn it, just for me, just for my own self-development. And what ended up happening was that people were like, "Hey, Karim, I just want to run something by past you first. What do you think of this challenge or this issue?" And I'm like, "Oh, have you considered this or you considered that?" And I started using the techniques that I had learned. And usually people would either only do John DeMartini or they'll do, just sort of one modality and they'll just stick with it. But knowing me, I'm like a FOMO, right? I love trying everything. So I was taking bits from everything that I did and I would sort of make it my own. And I didn't even realize it. And then all of a sudden people are like, "Oh my gosh, do you realize what you've just done? I've been living with this problem or this issue for like 20, 30 years. I've been seeing the best psychologists, been seeing the best trauma healers. And I have never had this result like I have with you today."
Yeah.
So it started giving me the confidence. And then I just started refining. And so I started to include everything that I had learned, taking out all the stuff that I thought that was not as good. So I took out the stuff that wasn't good and I put everything that was working really well together, all in one sort of product. And there lies the Boktor Method. So that's my story. If you're wanting to know how, then that's the next part after. Yeah. So that's me. Are you wanting to know how?
Any of you want to say something to that? Because I don't know if I'm want to tear up or questions. I don't know.
I'm very, very curious because I think that as human beings,
Yes.
we are quite often conditioned to want that one and done day method experience. I want to go away on a vacation and then come back and everything's magically, the fairies have come.
Yeah.
Well, the fairies aren't coming. So when you talk about your method, are you talking about one layer of trauma or the entire trauma within the human being?
So trauma is always going to be a part of humans. Let me just say that. There's a difference between unwarranted trauma and warranted. So healthy trauma and trauma that we've kept on that's no longer serving us, that's unwarranted.
Mm-hmm.
So the unwarranted trauma or the unhealthy trauma that we've held as baggage from the past is the things that I'm talking about. A lot of people think, well, I don't want to be angry. Can you help me not being angry? No. Can you help me not be sad? No. And anyone who tells you otherwise is full of shit, right?
Yeah.
Because as a human experience,
Karim, we always say if you want to swear here, just get it out because in the day you're expressing how you feel.
Okay,
and
awesome.
we always say if people have a problem with that, then it's their problem, not ours.
Awesome. So people have this belief that they should only feel good emotions. And I think this is the belief that's really holding society back. Because it means that we're only looking forward, we're only looking towards feeling good all the time. And this is causing a lot of disconnection between us and our bodies. Our body wants to feel something and we're not allowing it to. So we suppress it. We push it all the way down. And how do we do that? We find things to distract ourselves from. And it might start with watching, binging on TV, or it might be food for what it was for me. I was a food addict. I had weight loss surgery twice, and I was still putting on the weight back on afterwards, and I never knew why until I started to address the issue. Other people might be alcohol, other people might be drugs. So
yeah, obviously Robert did that say it can lead to substance abuse as well.
yeah, yep, it's all happening in the background, and we don't even know it.
So my question then, when it comes to that, and obviously what I'll do is actually I'll give you the platform to answer this.
Yep.
What's the difference, and how can unresolved trauma affect you internally and externally? The reason I'm asking that is because obviously I'm still dealing with my trauma internally currently. I've dealt with it externally, but then I was told from a psychologist, okay, have you dealt with it internally? And I didn't have a clue what she was talking about. But now I've come to realization what it is. So how does it impact you? And I'll give you the floor for that.
Yeah. So as an example, right? Whether we could use you, Adam, as a person to bounce off, but what happens is that from 0 to 7 is your imprint stage. It's the stage that you make sense of the world, and during that time, you will find and read perception and read situations differently. So this is what she's talking about internally. So what happens is that, like, something might happen to you today as an older man that you might interpret differently as the people around you. So you might walk into a room and you might see someone that looks like someone who caused your trauma, and you instantly have a reaction. Because internally, you've got associations and you've got images already there, and you're all ready to go. And this is how the trauma affects you today. And it's not just on that person. So you're already walking around. I like to use this example. You're already walking around, just say, with a cup. And that cup is like full of anger. And all that someone needs to do is just nudge you a little bit by accident, and the anger falls out of the cup. You're going to express that anger because that anger is already full. You haven't expressed and you haven't really resolved that anger. And this filter that you walk around, just say, the filter of you're not safe, you're going to biasly look for things that make you not safe. So you're constantly going to be on edge, and you're going to tell the story differently to the next person next to you. So if I'm driving down in a car and, it's the same day, it's the same road, and someone cuts me off, today I might think, this person's in a rush. They're in a rush to get to work. I hope they make it in time, and I hope they make it there safe. For someone else who's got the anger filter or the frustration filter, or that the world is against them, or that it's not a fair place because they've made that decision of when they're a child, how are they going to react? They're going to react in a way that they're going to think, oh my gosh, why did you cut me off? This idiot is just driving off in front of me. And, they start to complain and they start to rage on, and they start to think, oh my gosh, the world is against me. Why is the world so unfair? And they're constantly painting this picture about how the problem lives outside of them. And this is how trauma affects people. They're always projecting the problem outside of them onto someone else. But really what they're doing is they're really just seeing themselves through that other person. Yeah.
I want to bring up what Nancy put in the chat. Our chat, which is obviously just for us lot to see. Do you want to repeat it, Nance? Because it's
Oh,
powerful.
absolutely. Please read it out loud.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just open it now. 6 years of age was my trauma moment with acceptance. Resolving that vulnerability helped me immensely.
When you started speaking about what you were talking about, that was the first moment that came into my mind's eye. And when moments like that come into my mind's eye, I know that they're spirit driven. Some people refer to that as subconscious. Same. Just different terminology. And I remember so clearly, I was with my mom and we were at a park. We were on the island of Victoria here in Canada, and I was in a new neighborhood. I was so excited, right? But I was clinging to my mom's leg because we'd left behind our lives, moved somewhere new, and I had no friends except for my mom and my dad. So my mom said to me, go over to the sandbox and make a new friend. So I walked over, and lovely little Nancy said, hi, my name is Nancy. Do you want to be my friend? And this child told me to fuck off. And I'd never heard those words before. I was absolutely just like, so I went and told my mom, like, mom, I did what you told me to. I went over and said hello, and she was mean. And my mom told me to go back again.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to bring up a comment.
It was so pivotal.
Yeah, I want to bring up a comment what Robert actually thought. I have to put it up 'cause it's just for you, Nancy. Robert Brooker. I've chosen to be addicted to joy.
Well, it's about choosing how you want to show up every day, because the unresolved trauma that you spoke so eloquently about, like you explained it so well, is something that shows up in the present moments of our lives.
Yes.
We don't have to necessarily look back and diarize through all that. It will show up for us. Some people call that manifestation. There are opportunities that come along that are like, well, looks like that trauma hasn't been dealt with.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I fully believe that we are what we think. I believe I'm what I think.
Yeah, definitely. We are.
Yeah.
Andrea? I mean, as you guys can see, I don't stutter today, and I'm not overweight. Right? So that was a huge moment for me, because I was going in and out of speech therapy, and I was also a fat kid, right? So I had done all these different diets under the sun, and until I went internally and changed my thoughts and my beliefs, then nothing was going to change.
Yeah. What do you want to say, Andrea?
Me?
Yes, you.
Yeah.
You're always so quiet.
The one that had me in stitches last night, believe it or not.
That's why I'm tired. Thanks. No. I'm just kind of reflecting on what you said, Karim, because, I talk about this, like the first 7 years of your life. What I've studied, what I've learned was nature. And then 7 going on is nurture. Why? Because it's what Nancy attributes. It's what Andrea attributes. It's what Adam experienced. It's the environment that we are brought into. And it's the responsibility and accountability of our caregivers, our parents, to kind of mold that perspective. Now, for me, it was a little bit earlier on because I came to America at 11 months old. And so I had no identity. You know what I mean? I was adopted. And to go back with Andrea, it's really important. You have to believe what you see is what you believe. But what you said, Karim, also to add on to that is it's what's in your mind, and it parallels to Nancy. You have a choice. But what's difficult is a lot of people don't face their past, and their past continues to chase them.
Absolutely. And I want to bring up Daphne's comments, which are powerful as well. Yes, we are what we think, and yes, we create our worlds. We do. and then we
I'm
mid
giggling.
as
That's
well
my Daphne. That's my
create the
Daphne.
worlds we choose. Yeah, and I'm going to say it bluntly, and I'm probably going to go on a rant here. Yes, we are living in a shit world. We are with all these shit things. But, I know what you're going to say, Andrea. I know what you're going to say, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm not. We are living in a shit world, but instead of bringing in all that negativity, all that drama, all that what ifs, ignore that. Use that as an opportunity to create your own decisions, of create your own responses to that by using energy. Because we are energy. We're more than just human beings, Nance. We're energy. I know what Andrea was thinking when I was talking.
Well, the times of our lives right now, whether you want to look back in reflection of the days of our lives when I was much younger, watching it on television with the Flintstones or whatever it is now, the financial challenges that we are all going through have increased. The socio-political challenges have increased. And though these things are outside of us, they do affect us. Now, I mean, if you want to bring onto the stage a mother who's got 5 children and whose husband just left her and told her that it's not external circumstances, she's going to have a hard time buying into that, because there are some people that are truly struggling with hand to mouth situations. They don't have housing, they don't have food, and they haven't experienced it before, so they don't know where to turn and they don't know what to do. And that's where that they can find somebody who they resonate with. They may be willing to look at the world differently than the way that they had once before.
Yeah, and that's why these kids, they look at the older generation for guidance. And they need that help. And I have to say it bluntly, when you mentioned the Flintstones, Nancy, I was singing it in my head. I was singing it. Andrea wanted me to sing, but I'm not going to.
Well, that's one of the things I do. I turn to my elders.
We're all happier. We're not necessarily always happy.
No,
but
right.
We're happier.
Yeah. But Andrea, when you talk to your elders, you have that bond of respect with them, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
You can fight on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what would you just say to somebody who doesn't have any elders living?
Well, look to your ancestors. Look to your ancestors. You got 10,000 grandmothers standing behind you. That's our tribe. That's what we speak of. And I mean, it may not be for everybody, but you know, at the end of the day, so I have to lean on my ancestors, the angels.
Right.
They guide me. My grandma, she taught me before she left. So guess what? Everything that was taught before us still goes through the cycle of the family. It continues on.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to know, because a lot of people either have a disconnection with their ancestors because they don't know their lineage, like me. B, their ancestors aren't live, like me. So that's why these communities, as Karim is speaking of, and creating your own environment in accordance of choosing it, because when you don't have that lineage and you're still looking in the mirror finding that missing piece, and I speak of creating an identity through life's adversities. Find out what you don't want, who you don't want to be, and then you carve out who you truly are. But Andrea, that's good. That's important, because that's where you turn to what you know or what you believe, and it goes through manifestation, what we mentioned earlier on, spirituality, as well as trusting your intuition.
And see, I come from a place of lived experience. So I speak from that. I'm not a therapist. I can, you know, I do have a degree in social work, and
Mhm.
you know, so I do have formal training. But
Right.
when I'm speaking, it's usually
Yeah. Yeah, I know what she was saying, but
it may
that's
not
it. I'm
apply
a
to
therapist
everyone.
now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people frame from societal influences and
Yeah,
people who are, who don't have that living experience. I think that is significant. And all of us on this panel have a story that we're living testimonies. And we give
absolutely.
that
Yeah,
opportunity, as Karim is bringing here, to look at that, tap into your identity, allow yourself to feel so you can heal.
And
yeah.
whatever
So
I'm feeling, another thing too, whenever I'm feeling I'm going through it, I research. I
Yeah.
might have a question about, okay, how do I move? How do I navigate? That helps me too.
And that's
Google
important. We have to
helps.
start questioning more. We need to
Yeah.
start questioning more, not only the internet, but people. And I think that's
Hmm.
important. Back to you, Adam.
absolutely, and thanks for sharing that, you two. So, Karim, actually, this is for all of them, even in people in the comments as well. My question is, why are we, even though we know there's people out there to turn to, whether it's to talk to basically listen to, why are we so reluctant to speaking out when it comes to getting whatever is that's bugging us off our chest? Why do
One of
people
the
struggle to do that?
one of the things is that people aren't sometimes even aware that they've got a problem in the first place. Like because what happens is that people go through life, and because it's only what they know, it's sort of like, this is who I am, and they don't know any other way. They don't know it. Like when I was growing up, I had a really racy mind, and I couldn't shut it off. And until I went through this process, and I started, like, I could hear, right? I could hear my own thoughts, and things were just so calm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never realized that I actually had this in the first place. So when actually people see the difference, that's when they actually can think, oh my gosh, now I need to do something about it. Basically, what I'm saying is that it's been programmed in from you from such a young age that you don't even know that you've got it. Also, one of the other reasons is that people probably don't feel safe in trusting people on how to find the solution. If part of the
Like us
reason,
men.
what, sorry?
Like us men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the reason why, so the other half is part of the reason why people don't want to speak up about it is because in the past where, if you've given trust in the past as a child or growing up and someone's ruined that trust, you're not going to go to anyone else to think, hey, I'm going to open up to you. I might feel embarrassed. I might feel shamed, but I'm going to entrust what I have, what's so deep in me and what hurts me so much onto you. And I have to really entrust that you can help me. And all that it takes is for that other person again to ruin that trust by saying the wrong thing, or not really being open and accepting of what they're trying to say and all those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with men, right? Like, I'm an Arab guy on the radio now or TEDx talking about their emotions, right? I would never think or never thought that I would be this person. So I think vulnerability is part of the problem for men, especially because they want to think that, hey, my life's good, I'm strong, I'm all right. But that's totally not the case. There's a lot of men suffering because they're going through a lot, and men who, especially the ones that look and seem the strongest, on the inside, there's a lot of things going on that they're the ones crying out for help the most.
Yeah. So obviously, just quickly, because obviously,
it applies to strong
I know Andrea
people,
has
period.
to depart in about 5 minutes. So give us a little bit of an insight into your method in how it can be solved in 10 hours.
So I get this question a lot, and I get, Karim, you're full of shit. You can't help me with this. I've been dealing with this for 30, 40 years. Don't come and tell me and start spruiking your woo or your snake oil, because you're putting a lot of people through a lot of, hope, and it's gonna end up in misery. And once I start telling them on how I do it, part of what I include in my method is hypnotherapy. Have any of you guys experienced hypnotherapy before?
Yeah, I've had hypnotherapy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just me reading off a script telling you, I'm a master trainer, so I can now certify other people. So I'm at a really good level, but the reason why I'm saying that is because I've been able to take that little piece and take that little piece, right? So I use a little bit of hypnotherapy. And what hypnotherapy does is it's able to get through to your unconscious mind. It's the place that controls 80 to 90% of your life. All decisions, all beliefs, all behaviors exist at the unconscious level. We're only really aware about 20% about what's happening with us at the moment. Like I use this example. Sometimes we drive to a destination, whether it be work or our kids' schools, and sometimes we even drive for an hour or two, and we get to that destination and we think, I don't remember driving here. Mm-hmm. How the hell did I get here? I don't even remember getting here. And remember, you're navigating through traffic, you're navigating through stop signs and braking and steering, and there's so much things going on. So if you weren't driving you, then who was?
Subconscious.
Your unconscious mind. Mm-hmm. So this thing is a pattern of it's a program that runs on autopilot they're not even aware of. Hence why, as the example that I was saying before, you see someone that looks like someone that you didn't like as a child, automatically you have decided that you don't like them. So in that time, there's a split second. It's taking you back to your childhood. It's taking you back to that time. You now link it to the present day, and you decide that person means danger. And you've had a full conversation in your head, all within a split second. While the other person next to me is probably thinking, I don't know what he's talking about.
No.
So I use all these different modalities, and we're able to get to really, really deep. Now, the good thing about the way that I do it is that we don't have to revisit the trauma. I've done it in a way that we can revisit a time. So I work on the 5 key emotions: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. So as an example, if you're someone who's constantly frustrated and angry, would go back to the first moment of when you felt that way. And that might have been a time when you were 3 or 4 and your mum didn't want to give you a lolly, or you didn't want to share your toy. So something really innocent. And once we resolve that time, because this is the time when you imprint stage, right? Once we retell that story and see it from a different perspective, all the other cards after that fall. So we don't have to go and revisit that traumatic time to retell it over and over. And it's literally that simple. And I would love...
Hypnotherapy is so beautifully wonderful in the most wonderful, exponentially wonderful ways, because once you go into that place, because I still remember it, my hypnotherapy, and I've had several sessions, and that's given me so much power and in the ability to be able to unwind anything that's residual, that's left over. Now when things come up, I'm like, oh, hey, you. And I'm not so bent out of shape.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It is. Hypnotherapy is truly great.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Can everybody do it? Sorry.
I know it's not for everyone. Yeah, go on, Andrea.
Can everybody do it?
Yeah, that was a good question, Andrea.
Can everybody do the Boktor method?
The Boktor method, yes. And everybody can do hypnotherapy. So hypnotherapy is self-hypnosis. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So I'm just a guide. I don't do anything other than guide you. So all you have to do is just listen to my instructions. That's all you have to do. If you're willing and you're wanting to listen to my instructions, then you can definitely be hypnotized. I've worked with a lot of people, and there's not one person who couldn't come out and think there's no result. So people think of it like the movies, right? People think that they are so not in control, and they think that they're going to cluck like a chicken coming out of it, and all this kind of thing. It's basically just having a conversation, but with your eyes closed, and you're in a relaxed state. You're always in control. So if I find, I mean, I've never had this, but if I find that someone's really resistant, it just means that they're not wanting to let it go. They're
in denial.
Not denial. There is it's called a secondary benefit, which means that for them, they would rather keep their problem because it serves them in some way. As an example, one of my first people that I did in the past, a long time ago, she told me that she really liked that her being this way, like in, feeling sad and upset, meant that her husband was looking after her a lot more. And she felt that if she let that part go, that her husband won't look after her and love her more. So she chose to keep it on.
Yeah.
So people will find benefit in what they have if they decide to keep it on, because it becomes part of their identity. Like, who am I going to be without this person that's being cared for me? You know, who am I going to be without the person? What, now I have to work? Now I actually have to go out and do stuff? That's scary for a lot of people. So they tend to wear that badge of, I have this challenge, I have this problem, and they're like, oh, look at me. So
yeah. Go on, Andrea. I know you need to go.
Yes. Thank you so much, Karim. This is really an eye-opener, and I totally understand after servicing psychology and social work that people want to hold on to embrace that, because it's easy and comfortable to stay stagnant as opposed to grow, develop, and evolve. It's easy to be enabled as opposed to be empowered and enlightened. So thank you for spotlighting that and kind of bringing that back to awareness. And I'm glad Andrea had mentioned, can anybody do it? It's a power of will. It's a power of choice, just like anything else. So thank you for answering that.
Thank you.
So again, sincere apologies. It's 4:44. I have another commitment before the daylight savings times, which is a choice. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week. Karim, thank you so much. Nancy, love. Andrea, I'll talk to you later. Adam, stop laughing. All right, guys. I'll check you later, guys. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. There's a sibling rivalry going on between the two of them. It's just priceless. But I love the way that you explained, and Andrea's question, can anybody enter the state of hypnosis? I stuttered and slurred as a child, so I understand exactly what you're saying. For me, a lot of my ability to articulate was, I didn't know from a young age that spirit was speaking through me, so I couldn't keep up with all of what was coming. So it was learning how to properly enunciate my words. But when I went through the experience of hypnotherapy, it was to help me with what I thought was a fear of driving. Now, when I went back through layers and layers and layers and layers and into the crib, I uncovered a sexual trauma that I had no idea was there. So there are layers and layers that are so deep. And I mean, that wasn't my first time going through hypnosis. So I was much more willing to trust my guide. Because
Nancy, would you be able Would you be able to, if you want, elaborate on what that is? Because I've never heard of that before. A sexual trauma.
Mine? Oh, there are layers and
Anyone's,
layers of
just
my
in
sexual
general.
trauma. Which years do you want? I mean, I was raped when I was 13, and it goes. But I went through all those layers, and I say it now with a smile on my face, which makes people think that I'm a little bit,
No,
And
no,
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 none
you're
of the
not.
above.
No, because it shows you past that now.
Well, and I didn't even know that was the systemic part of what it was. I thought I was just simply afraid to drive over bridges.
Right.
But it was so much more than that. So it's one of those experiences where if you feel like you've plateaued or you're stuck, it's like getting a really good personal trainer. That's what hypnotherapy can do. So there's so many ways that we can tap into the human consciousness. And I think that the way that we choose our chariot and our charioteer is if we resonate with that person, we feel some level of comfort. So Karim's ability to work with men is a testament to a lot of things. Men quite often, sometimes. Oh, I can hear my accountability coach talking right now, Christopher. Always and never. I'm like, oh, words that often. We don't necessarily feel comfortable with somebody that's harmed us if they're the same genre.
Yeah.
So that's where someone may not resonate with me as a woman because they have continual problems, existence of problems because of a female archetype. I talk about archetypes, so I'm a little bit different in my verbiage. So
I wouldn't say you're different, hon. You're unique.
I'm unique. I'm unique. Yeah.
When
Something.
when it comes to a guide, can someone else guide me with the bot method? Can anybody else be a guide besides you?
If they're proficient in what I do, yeah. Would there be a reason why you would want anyone else other than me?
I'm just trying for for our guests and myself, I mean, to see because I'm all the way in the United States. And I'm just trying to see if there's someone that, other guides could do it too. Or if you're the only one. I'm trying to get that down to a science here.
Yes. So I'm the founder of the Boktor Method. But I do 80% of my sessions online. A lot of my clients are international and they are, people that I serve online. So what I do is online and it's the same outcome and people have had amazing outcomes. I can, if you're wanting to, if you're wanting face-to-face, I may be able to put you in touch with people who may do something similar, but it's not like what I do. I've refined it and I've put things together and put it back together. So I'm more than happy to help either way.
I love
that's the point.
Andrea. I love
that's the point. I want people to understand that you're the one.
Well, but sometimes what happens is that we don't resonate with someone for whatever reason it is.
That's right.
And a exceptionally evolved person is not afraid to recommend you to somebody else.
Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Come on, Andrea. Look at his surname, Karim Boktor. He is the method.
I know, but you know what? A lot of people probably wouldn't capture that. That's all I'm saying.
No, I know.
And we're definitely trying to put the highlight on you, Kevin. That's the point of my question.
Yeah.
Kevin? Who's Kevin?
I think she means Karim.
What a brand.
I'm sorry, Karim. I said it wrong.
It's like that tomato thing. When you chose, because I know Adam is intrigued with the TED Talks. What brought you to that point that you were ready to experience that stage? And why did you choose that stage? I mean, it's just TED. You could have done Simon Cowell and something if you wanted.
Yeah, so I remember sitting on the couch one day, and I mean, when I was told, or when I thought about the idea, it was like a year ago, and still then I was terrified of speaking. Right, like I grew up with a stutter. Like I was scared of expressing myself and even talking, and let alone speaking on a stage. So anyway, someone contacted me on Facebook, and they said, "Karim, I really love what you're doing. Have you ever thought about sharing your idea on TEDx?" And I'm like, "What? I'm not a TEDx person, right? That's totally not me. Like, I'm not that type of person." And I was totally driven by fear and by this is not my identity. And then I remember sitting down on the couch and speaking to my wife, and I thought, what's the scariest thing that I could do? And I always do this, right? What's the most unachievable thing that I can do that's scary, that's really going to change my life? And I said, go for it and do a TEDx. And that was really scary for me. Like, butterflies, all, 1,000 reasons why I shouldn't do it. Right. But I just kept leaning into that fear and just kept going for it because I knew that it was going to be good. And then one day, I went and told that person, yep, let's go and do it. And it's never guaranteed, by the way. So like, even though, they bring you on, it's just more for practice and training.
Yeah.
And then they refine your talk, they refine your speech. And the reason why I went on TEDx is because for me growing up, I was watching a lot of TEDx. It's like watching your superhero.
Yeah.
I always dreamed about being a TEDx speaker, even though that, really wasn't me. I really looked up to those people. Like, oh my gosh, I love TEDx, I love to watch it. And now I get the opportunity to do it. So this is the reason why. And it's a really good platform to share ideas.
I'm interested.
Yeah. Sorry?
I'm interested. I really want to do it.
Yeah, well, do it, mate.
And the beauty of being interested in something is that you can set a course that's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain commitment when we dive into something that may be economic or it may be family driven. You may not, it may not be the right time. So pick a time. Pick a time 3 years down the road, if that's where you feel comfortable. And then you can always dial it back. And if you choose 1 year, you can always dial it forward. The choice is yours.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you think that the choice isn't yours, who got you dressed this morning?
Exactly. In this fancy shirt.
I know, right?
I know, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious too. I'm glad that I tuned in. I'm very, very glad that I tuned in here in the dark room. I'm stuck in a small bedroom at my granddaughter's home. My granddaughters own this home. I've learned that. They may not own it financially, but they own it emotionally.
Exactly. Right. Well, where can people find you, Karim?
I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm just type in Karim Boktor or the Boktor Method, and get in touch with me. And or you can find me at karimboktor.com. That's another website that I've got. And we can have a chat as well.
Do you offer a clarity call? Do you offer just
I do. I offer a free half-an-hour clarity call. People are curious. They're like, dude, I don't know if you're full of shit or if you can actually help me. I want to know more about what you do, and I'm really intrigued. I'm sick of feeling like this. I just want to move past it. I don't want to keep coping. I want to keep living.
Well, and like you had said earlier, who was it that asked why people don't resolve their trauma? I can't remember who spoke and asked that question, but chances are we've been traumatized by a person. All of our traumas are relationships, are they not? Am I missing something here?
Well, when it comes to trauma, we've all endured some sort of trauma in our life. It doesn't matter if it's serious, if it's minor, even just falling off a bicycle when we were like 2 years old. that's still some sort of trauma right there.
Childbirth is trauma.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mine was not just being born, but borning children. But I think that, right? I mean, look at it from both sides. This is such a strange way to speaking about things right now. I'm just kind of turning red on that note. So no, but seriously, there's so many traumatic experiences that we have.
Yeah.
So to trust another human being when we've been scorned by another, depending again on the level of trauma, can be a challenge. The question is, what will happen if in 1 year from now you do nothing?
Exactly.
You're going to be in the same feeling place, if not possibly worse. Why not risk something to get better?
Yeah. Exactly. It's all about
Choose
how
you
we
spend your
respond to that.
Cheerios, right? Choose how you spend your Cheerios. We've all got Cheerios. We've all got energy. We've all got some coin coming in. I remember at one time when I was going through the valley of the shadow of trauma. Wow, so many times. And I borrowed money from a friend so that I could see a life coach because I was in such economic turmoil, economic abuse. Every dime I spent was being watched. So I borrowed money so I could get help.
It's as well as that, where even though it doesn't sound traumatic, I'm seeing it as traumatic. Like with my eldest son, like he used to eat shredded wheat a lot. I mean, a lot for his breakfast. But then as soon as he went to school, he came home and then suddenly stopped eating it. I'm like, why you like it? Oh, because I got told about the north, east, southwest. I'm like, okay, what did you learn about it? Oh yeah, never eat shredded wheat. What? Just why? Why? Just part of the program, I'd say.
We're all influenced, and we can be influenced by things that are good for us, or influenced from things that are bad for us. A good, bad, expansive, dense. We all know the verbiage. Do you want to be happy?
Hi, Ashley. Hope you're well. So yeah. Yeah. Do you want to say anything, Andrea?
This is exciting. Thank you both for coming to the show. I'm learning so much, and I don't know, I might be open to that, Karim. I might be open to it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? So am I. I'm open.
I'd love, yeah, you're more than welcome. You're most welcome.
Unless you want to help me become a TEDx speaker.
Mate, the world's your oyster, Adam.
I do. I'm not turning back on this. I'm not turning my back on this. I do. I want to set a target, and I want to be on that TEDx stage. I really do.
Ooh, let's do it. Let's help you get on there, man.
Yeah, let's do it. I know Nancy's going to help.
Oh, I absolutely will. I'll hold you accountable, and I know someone else that will. It's beautiful to have big desires. I know when I committed to a dear friend of mine that I was going to write my memoir. She's also my cousin, who is also my self-regulation therapist. Learning to step out of my own way and do something that was at one time frightening, but is now just such a festive experience. I love writing. And now that I'm getting into the details of the editing, it's even more fun. I didn't always see it that way. I was scared for a long time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Well, I think we should wrap this up. Yeah, please do subscribe, everyone. I actually enjoyed this. And Andrea, what's the topic for next week?
I forgot.
Well, luckily I remembered. It was actually something to do with misunderstanding of people with mental health.
Oh, that is okay. That's the 17th.
That's next week.
Yes, being being misunderstood and
absolutely,
mental health. Being misunderstood and mental health. And I'm doing a poem.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
thank
Secret
you.
Influence TV, I know that's you, Nick Ronald. It's not our 600th short, it's our 700th. So you're 100 behind. But yeah, Robert, your comments are a bit disruptive. I loved everyone. But so yeah, it's all about just keeping going. We are misunderstood sometimes when it comes to our mental health. But next week we are back at not 9 p.m. UK. We're back at 7 p.m. UK. So that's going to be your, if it's 6 hours, so 1 p.m. 1 p.m. So yeah, I'll see you all later. Thanks everyone.